2012. As far as, I'm so sorry, I had to state that again for me. I'm sorry, I just had to say that.
What authority should the EPA have, and how specifically would you establish increased control over them?
I'll say this real quick. EPA should go away, Department of Energy should go away, as well as the Department of Education. Those are better handled in the states.
Question 9 for Paul McCain. What is your stance on oil drilling in the Gulf and offshore drilling in general, and why do you hold this position? Please be specific.
Okay, I've been in favor of offshore drilling forever. We had a bad accident. I will say this, I do believe that oil was allowed to reach our coast on purpose. I'm going to go there and tell you that. I can prove it. Don't want you to think I'm some kind of conspiracy fanatic here, but I can prove that. As far as the oil drilling goes, absolutely we must do that, but we don't need to be doing it out in mile deep water. That money goes to the federal government. We need the money here in the state. If you're drilling in state waters, number one, we keep the money. Number two, if that kind of an accident happened, like happened there, if a man can go down there, a man can fix it. So the bottom line is, no, we must. I mean, there's so many jobs. I've heard over 20,000 jobs will be created in this district, really, because we have such a large coastline. So those jobs are going to come from here. And make no mistake, that's what we need to do. We need the oil, we need the jobs. It makes no sense to go any other way.
The same question for Diane Berryhill. Would you like me to repeat it? What is your stance on oil drilling in the Gulf and offshore drilling in general, and why do you hold this position? Please be specific.
Well, I've always been for drilling. I always thought we should be drilling closer in to shore, not where it would affect our tourists, but where we could control things, just like what happened. And one of the reasons that I think we need to continue drilling is because it's very important to our national security. When we're sending money over to countries that are coming back and killing us as Americans and killing our soldiers and our Marines, then we need to start taking care of that ourselves. The more independent we are of oil from other countries, the better off our country is going to be. And national security needs to be at the forefront of everyone's thinking on everything we're doing, because right now we have people out there who have nothing on their minds but killing us. And we are not doing anything in Afghanistan to improve that. So that's one of my main reasons, is because we've got to be safe in this country.
Next question for Eddie Hendry. Define and defend your position on immigration, and how do you expect to have your position implemented if you are elected?
Define my stance on immigration. Well, this will take more than a minute. The first thing that we have to do is finish the fence. Get the fence built so we can start seeing who is coming into our country. Then we let the people come into our country who want to be Americans and live the American dream and learn to speak English. That's the second thing. The third thing is to enforce the border. I'm in favor of putting military troops down on the border. That is an invasion. It is not a law enforcement issue. It is a national security issue. Besides the fact that a private in the Army or the Marines makes $15,000 a year. A Border Patrol agent makes $45,000 a year, so you get 3 for 1. We also have got to cut out these programs that are keeping these illegal aliens here. They don't get Medicaid, they don't get Social Security, and they daggum sure don't get our jobs. Thank you.
The same question for David Schul. Define and defend your position on immigration, and how do you expect to have your position implemented if you are elected?
Totally support what Governor Brewer is doing down in Arizona. It doesn't violate the 4th nor the 14th Amendment. More importantly, it stands up for states' rights. That's the 10th Amendment. She is doing nothing more than standing up for federal law. I find it disingenuous that our Attorney General, Eric Holder, and we need to fire him, he's confused on who the enemy is. He wants to prosecute Arizona when right down there, Arizona is arresting terrorists that are coming across their borders. They're arresting criminals that are bringing in drugs and gangs. They are arresting individuals that are coming across our borders, taking part in the kidnapping of young girls and engaging in human trafficking, and our president won't even back her. He's confused on how to support, protect, and defend the Constitution. When I get to Washington, after 28 years of experience, I'm going to pay him a little visit and I'll brief him on his role. But I want Governor Brewer, once she retires from Arizona, I want her to come to Florida and become our governor.
Same question for Steve Sutherland. Define and defend your position on immigration, and how do you expect to have your position implemented if you are elected?
Well, I also agree we have got to seal our borders. We've got to know who's in this country, what they're doing here, and how long they're going to be here. I do believe in a guest worker program. I have been on the border. I was there 2 years ago with General Morrow with the 1st Air Force, looking at the surveillance of our borders and how inadequate they are and how much support that our men and women along the border need. They need reinforcements in the worst way. I also do believe in Arizona. I believe that when the federal government abdicates its responsibility to provide security for the citizens of its state, it is incumbent, it is a requirement of the governors of these states to realize that they must do what the federal government has made their decision not to do. So I support Senate Bill 1070, and I believe it will stand a legal challenge because of concurrent enforcement. That is a well-adopted, well-understood legal principle that does not allow the federal, that does not prevent the federal government from doing its job. It just makes sure that if they don't, that the states can. And then finally, I believe we should learn from the Israelis. The Israelis, they practice behavioral profiling, not nationality profiling, behavior. They know when somebody's going to blow themselves up. It's common sense.
Thank you, Mr. Sutherland. Next question for Paul McCain. What is your stand on terrorism and the war in Afghanistan?
Okay, I like this one. The war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq. I have literally been talking to soldiers in both places. And I talked to a guy the other day from Afghanistan. He happened to be in Hawaii at the time, so I could talk to him on the phone. But I gave him my whole spiel on it, and I told him, you straighten me out. He says, you're absolutely right. He goes, we have won the war over there, folks. We have won the war. What are we still there for now? Bottom line is, I relate it back to our fight for independence. We probably could not have won our war without France. Sorry. They did the job, but when they did the job, they left. It was up to us to hold our country. And now we have done our job. So it's time for us to leave. Now, one thing he did tell me, he told me that they were so happy for us to come in there and get rid of the thugs. They were glad to have the thugs gone. But they still want their women in burqas. They don't want them driving a car, and they don't want them going to school. So we're not changing their customs over there. And if we think we are, we're only fooling ourselves. If we leave next week or next year, the same things are going to happen. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen.
Next question for Diane Berryhill. What procedures and philosophies will you propose to ensure the safety and security of the U.S. and its citizens?
Are you talking about on a local level, or because law enforcement, national security? Is that what you're referring to? Okay, with national security, I would like for us to, first of all, again, seal our borders. I would like for us to gather up the illegals and send them back to Mexico because we don't know who's in here, and then let them come back under guest worker cards. And that is possible. We've done it 3 other times in the United States when we've had illegals. It would also give our people more jobs. And with the national security, I would like to bring our guys back from Afghanistan. We're in a war over there. My youngest son's over there right now. We're not even in a war over there. We're simply paying them to grow corn instead of the drugs. And we can't continue that for years and years. So that's a losing battle for us. I would like to see us bring a lot of our soldiers out of other countries that we don't need to be in. And I would like to see them protecting our country and our borders here in this country.
Same question for Ron McNeil. What procedures and philosophies will you propose to ensure the safety and security of the U.S. and its citizens?
Well, I'm kind of a cross between Ronald Reagan and John Wayne, I understand. we have to make sure people know